Good day, everyone. My name is Mr. Chisum, and today we'll be looking at the histology of the connective tissues. Histology of the connective tissues. The connective tissues is one of the major or is one of the four tissues in the body. Remember on our teaching on the epithelial tissues, I told us that the tissues in the body comprises the epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, the muscle tissue, and the nervous tissue. So today we'll be looking at the connective tissues. The connective tissues, just from the name, implies from the name connective, connecting, implies tissues that connect or bind or join or link other tissues together in the body to support these tissues. They join, they connect, they link other tissues together in order to support this tissue. This is simply what I mean. Let's assume that this is the epithelial tissue and this is the muscle tissue, and these tissues are separate from each other. Now, this becomes the connective tissue that comes in between them to join them together. You can see that this tissue at the middle is joining the two tissues together. And as it is joining them together, it is also separating them. So the connective tissues, in as much as it joins tissues together, it also separates two tissues. So let's look at the functions of the connective tissues. We've seen the introduction or definition. Let's see the functions of the connective tissues. The connective tissue, from our definition, binds or joins tissues together. So the first function is it binds or joins tissues together, and the essence of binding and joining of tissues is to support these tissues. Then the second function of the connective tissue is that connective tissues, like the connective tissue of the blood, help to transport nutrients and also remove waste product from cells and tissues. Then the third function is that the macrophage, mast cells, the lymph connective tissues help in the body immune response. They help to fight pathogens in the body. Then the fourth function of the connective tissue is that the connective tissues, like the tissues of the connective tissues of the adipocytes, of the adipose tissue rather, helps to store fats in the body, and thereby it helps to produce heat in the body. So these are the functions of the connective tissue. Then we have the components of the connective tissues. We have the components of the connective tissues. We have the components of the connective tissues. The component simply means that for each and every connective tissue in the body, that they must have these three components. They must have these three components, except the blood and the lymph that does not have the three of them. There are three components in the connective tissue, and each connective tissue, except blood and the lymph. The two of them does not contain or do not contain these three components. Rather, they contain only two. But every other connective tissue contains these three components. So the first component of the connective tissue is the cells. Is the cells. The first component is the cells of the connective tissue. You know that the cells is the unit of life. So that is the first component that is found in the connective tissue. Then we have the second component, which is the connective tissue fibers. We have the fibers. We have the connective tissue fibers. They, just like the connective tissue contains cells, they contain fibers, and the fibers are part of the extracellular matrix. Once you see the cells, then fibers, and the third one are two of them are called extracellular matrix, but we are coming to that. So the fibers are there. Then we have the final one, ground substances. Ground substances. So these three, the cells, the fibers, and the ground substances, are components of the connective tissue. So for any connective tissue, they contain these three, except the blood and the lymph that contains only the cells and the ground substances. They do not contain the fibers. So the fibers and the ground substances are referred to as the extracellular matrix, just like I've told us. They are referred to as extracellular matrix. And the ground substances separate the cells from the fibers. We'll still come to that. So let's see the cells of the connective tissue, the different cells of the connective tissues. We have the adipocytes. The adipocytes are one of the cells. We have the lymphocytes. We have the thrombocytes. We have the plasma cells. We have the macrophages. We have the mast cells. We have the reticular cells. We have the fibroblasts. So these are the cells that are found in the connective tissues, depending on the type of connective tissue. Depending on the type of the connective tissue. Note that. Then the second one is the fibers. In the fibers, we have three fibers, connective tissue fibers. The first one is the collagen fiber. The second one is the elastic fiber. And the third one is the lenticular fibers. The third one is the lenticular fibers. Then finally, we have the ground substance. The ground substance is defined as they are gel-like in nature. So they are gel-like substances that are viscous. They are viscous, and they separate the cells from the fibers. They lie in between the cells and the fibers of the connective tissue. And what it does is that it allows the inflow of water in between these, the cells and the fibers. So that is what the ground substances does. The ground substances are two in number. We have the glycoprotein and we have the proteoglycans. So these two are the ground substances. So before we go into the classification of the connective tissues, I want to throw more light on the fibers of the connective tissue. I told us that the fibers of the connective tissue includes the collagen fiber, the elastic fiber, and the lenticular fibers. So the collagen fiber now is the collagen fiber is the type 1 collagen. Collagen, elastic, and the lenticular. The collagen fibers contain about, or is made up of, or they make up about 20 to 25% of the protein in the body. So, and the collagen fibers are mainly type 1 collagen. Then for the elastic fibers, they contain mainly elastane, elastane protein. They contain elastane, and this elastane is responsible for the elasticity of these fibers. So any place that these fibers are located, these structures are elastic. They can be found in, this elastic fiber can be found in the, uh, uh, sometimes they can be found in the blood vessel, and they can also be seen in the pericardium. They can also be seen in the pericardium of the heart because of the elasticity. Then we have the lenticular fibers. The lenticular fibers are special type of collagen fibers. So there are special type of collagen, rather, not collagen fibers. There are special type of collagen. They are referred to as type 3 collagen. So they are referred to as type 3 collagen. We'll still see these fibers. So let's classify the connective tissues. Connective tissues are classified or are divided into two categories. We have the main type of connective tissue that is found throughout the whole body. And that type of connective tissue is known as the connective tissue proper. Connective tissue proper. We have the connective tissue proper, and we have the second type, which is the specialized type of connective tissue. Specialized type of connective tissue. So, like I said, the connective tissue proper is the type of connective tissue that are distributed throughout the whole body. They are evenly distributed throughout the whole body. Meanwhile, the specialized type of connective tissue are the connective tissue that are seen in special types of cells or specialized type of organs or cells or tissues. That's where they are seen. Meanwhile, the connective tissue proper are the main connective tissue that are evenly distributed throughout the body, but these ones have these special cells that they are connected to, or the special places or special areas that they are found. So that's the difference. So let's see the connective tissue proper. The connective tissue proper is further divided into two. We have the first one, the loose connective tissue proper. And we have the second one, the dense connective tissue proper. So we have the loose connective tissue proper and we have the dense connective tissue proper. These two are the two divisions of the connective tissue proper. So let's see the loose connective tissue proper. Initially, the loose connective tissue proper, or let me define it before saying what I want to say. They can be defined as the type of connective tissues that their fibers are sparsely distributed. Their fibers are sparsely distributed. The spaces between fibers are much. How would I explain it now? You know that for every connective tissue, they contain the cells, the fibers, and the ground substances. So in the loose type of connective tissue proper, the fibers of this type of connective tissue are not in the same are in the same proportion with the cells. Eh? They are in the same proportion with the cells. The fibers are sparsely distributed. They are not compact. They are loosely distributed. I don't know if you are getting. So now the examples of this loose type of connective tissue. Initially, they are three initially, but recent researches has made it only one. Initially, the alveolar connective tissue, the alveolar connective tissue fiber, the adipose connective tissue, and the reticular connective tissue were seen as the loose type of connective tissue. But recent researches have made only the alveolar the only connective tissue under this category, moving the adipose connective tissue and the reticular connective tissue to the specialized type. So now the only type of fibers or the only type of connective tissue that we can see in this loose type of connective tissue is the alveolar connective tissue. The alveolar are the only type of connective tissue that we can see in this type. Now, the cells of the alveolar are known as the fibroblasts. The cells of the alveolar are known as the fibroblasts. And this type of connective tissue are seen in they are seen in the dermis of the skin throughout the whole body. They are seen in the dermis of the skin. They are seen in the urinary tract. They are seen in the reproductive tract. They are seen in the they are seen in the respiratory tract also. So this type of connective tissue are the type that are evenly distributed throughout the whole body. You can see the dermis of the whole skin. You can find the alveolar connective tissue there. In the reproductive tract, you can find it there. Even in the digestive tract or the alimentary canal, you can find this alveolar type of connective tissue there. So that's why it is referred to as an example of the connective tissue proper, because you can see they are evenly distributed in all the body. Then we have the dense connective tissue. We have the dense connective tissue. In the dense connective tissue, they are defined as the type of connective tissues where the fibers are compact or the fibers are denser than the cell. The fibers are much more in numbers when compared to the cells. Let me give us a picture of what we mean, or a diagram rather of what we mean. Let's assume that this is the loose connective tissue proper. So you can see the cells, then you can see the fibers. So you can see that the fibers are evenly distributed and they are in some proportion with the cells. But in the case of the dense connective tissue, these are the cells, these are the fibers. So you can see that the fibers are dense. So if you look at these two diagrams, you see the difference between the loose type of connective tissue proper and the dense type of connective tissue proper. The fibers here are more. And the two connective tissue that you can see in this dense type of connective tissue is the elastic fibers and the collagen fibers. The elastic fibers and the collagen fibers. They are the two that you can see under this. So the dense type of connective tissue proper is further divided into four. We have, remember I told us that the fibers that are found in this dense is the elastic fiber and the collagen fibers. So these two fibers are this dense now are further divided into four. The dense regular collagen, the dense irregular collagen, the dense regular elastic, and the dense irregular elastic. What do you mean by dense regular collagen? Dense regular collagen means that the collagenous fiber are dense. Their fibers are much more in when compared to the cells. You get, and they are arranged in a parallel orientation, or they are arranged in a parallel direction or parallel manner. That is what we mean by dense regular collagen. This is an example of what I mean. Let's assume that these are collagen fibers. So you can see from here that these collagenous fibers, in as much as the fibers are more than the cells, or you can see the orientation of the fibers, they are arranged in a parallel orientation. That is what we mean by dense regular collagen. Compare it with dense irregular collagen, which means that the fibers are scattered. The fibers are scattered, in as much as the fibers are much more than the cells in proportion. However, the fibers are scattered in the, so this is dense irregular. So you see something like this. So these are the fibers of dense irregular. You can see the different orientation. So compare these two. You notice that the fibers of the dense regular moves in a parallel orientation, while the fibers of the dense irregular are scattered and they take any orientation that they can, any orientation. So they take any direction. So it is the same with dense regular elastic and the dense irregular elastic. So before we move to the specialized type of connective tissue, Remember that I told us that the collagen and the elastic fibers are the fibers that are found in the dense type of connective tissue proper. And the collagen, like I told us, are found in tendons and also ligaments, while the elastic fibers are found in the elastic cartilages, they are found in the skin also, they are found in the lungs also. So that is it for the dense type of connective tissue proper. So let's look at the specialized type of connective tissue. The specialized type of connective tissue. So here, I've told us that the specialized type of connective tissue simply means that these connective tissue are found in special areas of the body. If you compare it with the connective tissue proper that are found throughout the whole body, you see, notice the difference. This one, it is not found throughout the whole body. It has a special area or a specific areas that you can get this type of connective tissue. So that is why the name specialized type of connective tissue is given to it. So the first one that we have is the adipose tissue. Adipose tissue or adipose connective tissue. Adipose connective tissue. Let's put it that way. The adipose connective tissue. We have the second one. We have the bone connective tissue. We have the blood connective tissue. We have the fourth one, the cartilage connective tissue. We have the lenticular connective tissue. So these are at least 5 types of specialized connective tissue. So we'll be taking them one after the other. The adipose connective tissue are connective tissue that are found in the adipose tissue or the fat cells or the fat tissue. So you already know what the adipose tissue means. This connective tissue are spread out throughout the fat cells or the fats in the body, whether brown fat or white fat. You find this connective tissue there. And the cells of this connective tissue is known as the adipocytes, are the cells of this connective tissue. The adipose connective tissue helps, like I told us during our intro, our functions of the connective tissue. It helps in the storage of fats. It helps in the storage of fat and also the production of heat. So that is it for the adipose connective tissue. Then the second connective tissue here, we have the bone connective tissue. The bone connective tissue are the connective tissue that is found in the bone. They are the connective tissue that are found in the bone. And the cells of this connective tissue here are the osteoblasts, the osteoclasts, and the osteocytes. These are the cells that are found in the bone connective tissue. Then we have the third one, the blood connective tissue. The blood, like I told us, does not contain fibers. They only have the cells and the ground substances. So here we have different types of blood cells. We have the erythrocytes, which are the cells of the red blood cell. We have the thrombocytes, which are the cells of the platelets, and we have the leukocytes, which are the cells of the white blood cells. We also have the plasma cells. Also, these cells make up the blood connective tissue. So together, these cells make up the blood, and they are called the blood connective tissue. Then, like I already told us, the blood connective tissue helps in the transport of nutrients, removal of waste, and also it helps in the I've talked about it rather. It helps in the removal of waste products. And blood cells like leukocytes helps in the defense mechanism of the body. So here we have the 3 types of cartilage in the body: the hyaline cartilage, the elastic cartilage, and the collagen and the fibrocartilage. The hyaline cartilage, the elastic cartilage, and the fibrocartilage. So these cartilages are found in the body and they contain either collagen fibers or elastic fibers, depending on the type of cartilage. Then the cells of the cartilage are known as the chondrocytes. The chondrocytes are the cells of the cartilage. Then we have the lenticular connective tissue. The lenticular connective tissue contains the lenticular cells. The lenticular cells and the fibers that they contain are the lenticular fibers. Then I forgot to tell us about the lymph connective tissue. The lymph connective tissue, the lymph connective tissue are also part of the connective tissue. So let me do a recap of what we've done so far. We define connective tissue as tissue that join from the word connecting, tissue that join or connects or link other tissues together in the body in order for you to uh, to support it. So, and I went further to tell us that connective tissue have three components. We talked about the cells of the connective tissue, we talked about the fibers of the connective tissue, and we talked about the ground substances. And I told us in the cells that you see something like different cells, adipocytes, chondrocytes, plasma cells, thrombocytes, and the rest of them. These are the cells of the connective tissue. For the fibers, we have the collagen fibers, the elastic fibers, and the lenticular fibers. Then for the ground substances, I told us that ground substances, we have the proteoglycans and the glycoprotein for the ground substances. And I went ahead to classify the connective tissue into two: the connective tissue proper and the specialized type of connective tissue. Then the connective tissue proper is mainly, I told us that it is mainly the loose, it's divided into the loose and the dense connective tissue. Then I told us that the loose connective tissue, initially, it comprises the alveolar, the adipose tissue, connective tissue, and the lenticular. But the recent research has made only alveolar the loose type of connective tissue, exonerating the adipose connective tissue and the reticular connective tissue. So in the loose type of connective tissue, we have only alveolar. Then for the dense, it is further divided into four types, which I told us. Then coming to the specialized type of connective tissue, we have the adipose connective tissue, the bone connective tissue, the blood connective tissue, the cartilage connective tissue, the reticular connective tissue, and the lymph connective tissue. So we've come to the end of this teaching. Please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Learn with Chisom Grades. Try as much as possible to comment your questions. Share the video, like and comment the video. Share to your friends. Please do not fail to share to your friends. Thank you very much.